أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الذين آمنوا والذين هاجروا وجاهدوا في سبيل الله أولئك يرجون رحمة الله والله غفور رحيم. Indeed, those who have believed and those who have emigrated and fought in the cause of Allah, those expect the mercy of Allah, and Allah is forgiving and merciful. الحمد لله وحده والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today's talk is basically going to be about faith. It's going to be about faith and it's going to be about Iman. So the journey that you and I, we make to faith and we make to Iman, because obviously this is a journey. And through this journey is how you get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this ayah, even though it seems very simple, like إِنَّ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَالَّذِينَ هَاجَرُوا وَجَاهَدُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ, it seems simple. Those who believed and then you immigrate and you fight in the cause of Allah, those get the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the thing is that this ayah is basically a powerful depiction of the life of the believer, because you and I are able to implement this ayah daily. So we're able to look at this ayah daily and say, today, how can I implement this ayah into my life? Today I'm going through this, because every day we have different problems. Life is made out of problems. And each day when you go through your problems, you can look at this ayah, you can say, tick, I can implement this ayah. It's one of those ayahs that you can constantly be implementing in your life. And you look at your progress through this ayah and you understand it as we go along. So the first thing is that, what is Iman? The concept of Iman in religion is so important. So what is Iman? What is this Iman that you and I carry inside our hearts? There's two types of Imans first that we have to understand. There's the real Iman, which is the first type. And then there's the Iman that you and I carry inside this flesh. This Iman, which the Prophet ﷺ said that if this piece of flesh is sound, then the rest of the body is sound. But if this piece of flesh is corrupt, then it only shows through the rest of the, like, it only takes its effect to the rest of the bodies. So important to always constantly purify yourself and keep your heart clean, because there's an Iman that lies in there which is so precious. And if you choose anything over this Iman, if you give priority anything over to you give priority to anything but this Iman, then your Iman is going to go. However, first let's talk about the real Iman. What do I mean by real Iman? Real Iman is basically the Iman that when you say La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, that's the Iman that you have inside. Like, it's the Iman that you have testified that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is his messenger. So you've said this shahada. You've said this shahada, and once you say this shahada, this is basically the legal Iman. Legally now you're a Muslim. Legally you're obliged to fast. Legally you're obliged to perform 5 prayers. Legally you have to implement the Sharia, the law of Islam upon, like, you have to act upon the law of Allah. So these legal aspects have to be implemented into your life legally. And the thing is, the main difference between this Iman and this Iman is, the main difference between the Iman of the heart and the Iman which is the legal Iman is basically this one. Once you have it, you can't lose it. Once you have this, unless you leave Islam, and may Allah protect us, but unless you leave Islam, you can't lose this. You can't say today I feel like I'm a Muslim today. No, it's not like that. Once you have it, you can't lose it, because once you enter the fold of Islam, then you have this legal Iman. When I say you, I have to give you 5 rights. So if you say Salaam alaikum to me, I have to say Wa alaikum assalam. If you say Alhamdulillah and you sneeze, I have to say Yarhamakallah. These things apply because legally you're a Muslim. Legally you're a Muslim. However, this one is different. It's like the other spectrum. This one is in the heart. Obviously, it's in the heart. And this one is the spiritual Iman that you and I have. The one in the heart, the one that increases. And this by nature, it either goes up and it goes down. Because some days, even when the hadith, we all know it, that when Abu Bakr and another companion came to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and they claimed themselves to be munafiqun. Why? But the reason is because they saw the iman to fluctuate. And likewise, our iman fluctuates. And the Prophet ﷺ told them that you have time for this, you have time for that. Our iman by nature is something that's going to fluctuate. By nature. So this iman fluctuates, where this one, once you have it, you don't lose it. And then this one, it fluctuates. There might be some prayers that you pray really, really, really well, but then there's some prayers that you didn't do so well. For example, like give you an example. You've prayed Salat al-Fajr, Salat al-Dhuhr, Salat al-Asr, Salat al-Maghrib, and Isha. You've prayed all your salats. However, Fajr, you felt that you prayed really, really well. Like you understood all the ayats. You were able to make dua in sujood. You took your time in sujood and ruku'. You humbly made ruku'. You said all these things. All the du'as were there. You understood the ayats. Fatiha was there. Everything was there. You felt you even cried. So it went really, really well. However, it got to the whole time. The whole time is busy. It was hot that day. You prayed it. You prayed your sunnahs as well, but you felt that it was a bit iffy. It wasn't as good as that prayer. But you prayed it. And then Asr time comes. Asr time you prayed it really well as well, but it's not as good as Fajr. So I do one thing. It's not as good as Fajr. You prayed it. You did your dua after everything went well, but you just felt that you were more connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala during Fajr. Then Maghrib time comes. You're not sure. You prayed it, but you just didn't like the way you prayed it. You felt you rushed it. You felt like you had something else in your mind. You felt like that the things that you were doing just before Salah was still on your mind, so you weren't able to concentrate and ponder over the ayahs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because Salah is so important. It's like 5 daily meetings with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if you have other stuff in your mind, then how else are you able to drop everything for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And the Isha came. You prayed Isha, yes, but you were so knackered that day. And Isha was so late that day. It was summertime Isha, but it was really late. So you prayed Isha that day, but you felt that it didn't go well at all. You were so tired. You were not even sure what surah you had read. Or did I pray 3? Did I pray 4? You were not even sure. Like, that's how tired you were. So through that day, your iman went high, then it went low, then it went high again, and then for Maghrib it came back down, and then for Isha it went even lower. So you can see through that day, the iman fluctuates. The iman that you have, it fluctuates. It went up and it goes down, and that's by nature. This iman, by nature, it goes up and down. However, there's a very important concept that we have to apply into our lives, because as a Muslim, we cannot judge each other. And the Quran, we're told, like by the Sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we're told so many times we cannot judge each other. And why is that? Because I don't have the right to judge someone's spiritual iman, the iman that they have in this heart. I can't say to someone, oh, your actions are based on intentions, and because your intentions are not pure, then that means your actions are not good. Do I have the right to say that to someone? No, I don't, because I don't know what's in their heart. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The thing is, only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what this person carries inside that heart. I can't say what they carry inside the heart because I don't know what they carry inside the heart. I can only judge from what I physically can see. What I can see, and that's the thing. That's why it's so important that we as Muslims always have to constantly think the best of each other. It's so important, because we're told, even in Surah Al-Hujurat, are we not told not to assume, and not to, because assumption, what good does it lead to? We're told so many times, do not backbite about each other, because if we think ill of each other, then where's the love, where's the unity? We talk about the unity and the love of the Ummah, but where is it when we always assume bad of each other? And something that emphasizes this is basically in Surah Al-Nisa. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Ayah 94, He told the Muslims when they come across someone and they say, when they greet you with Assalamu alaikum, they greet you with the greeting of Islam, do not say to them you're not a believer. So this ayah doesn't even say do not say to them you're not a Muslim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to them, do not say you're a believer. Do not say to them that they don't have iman, because a believer has iman, right? Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu. How many times does that come in the Quran? Or you've claimed to have iman. Is a believer, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to them, do not say to them you're not a believer. Why? Because these people, these Sahabas, and by extension to us, we don't know what's in the hearts of other people. We can't say, yeah, Ali, that person's not a believer, that person is a believer, or this person and he's iffy. The thing is, we have to worry about ourselves, because the day of judgment is near, very, very near. And we're told so many times in the Quran, prepare, like we're warned about it, because it's a heavy day. And if we're worried about everyone else, then where do we stand on the day of judgment? Because it may be that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the person that you're talking about all the time, their actions are not, their actions don't look good. It might be on the day of judgment that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has forgiven them. By His mercy, He has forgiven them. And they enter Jannah. But it may be on that day that you're not forgiven. And it may be that you, in this world, you look like a Muslim. You wear the Islamic attire. You wear the hijab if you're a girl, and the niqab and the jilbab and all these. You go overboard. You're not overboard. You do extra. Whereas this other, and if you're a guy, you grow the beard, you wear the hat, you do all these things. But it may be the other one, the other person doesn't look like a Muslim. But it may be that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen to forgive them and not you. So the thing is, we have to constantly worry about ourselves. We have to look at ourselves and say, what can I change about myself? And not look at other people and look at their situation. Because when we're guaranteed Jannah, when we're told, yes, you made Jannah, don't worry about someone else. And that's not going to happen, because you're only going to know if you can make it Jannah on the day of judgment. You're not going to know in this life. You're not going to get glad tidings. Like while you're living, if someone's going to say to you, yes, you're going to Jannah, and you can't guarantee yourself Jannah either. Because it was so important, we have to constantly cleanse ourselves. And if we look to the life of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he actually forbade us from judging, even when the case is obvious, we cannot judge. An example can given through through a hadith which appears in Bukhari and Muslim, whereby the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Usama ibn Zayd, who was very beloved to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was the son of Zayd, and he had killed someone after that person declared La ilaha illallah, and he had killed that person but that person only said La ilaha illallah when he saw that Zayd had the upper hand. So Osama had the upper hand. So to us it seems apparent why did he say La ilaha illallah? Because clearly we would think, oh no, he saw the sword, so therefore the shahada came as a result of this, of seeing that. But the hadith actually states that the Prophet ﷺ said, "Oh Osama, did you kill him after he professed La ilaha illallah?" And Osama said, "Oh Messenger of Allah, he professed it only to save his life. Yani, he only did to save his life." The Messenger of Allah ﷺ repeated, "Did he kill him after he professed La ilaha illallah?" And then he repeated this until that Osama felt that he had not embraced Islam before that day, so he wouldn't have committed that sin. So Osama bin Zayd, who was very, very beloved to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, still the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told him and rebuked him for this. He told him, like, why did you do it? Because La ilaha illallah, the shahada that we have, the shahada that we claim, is such a heavy statement. La ilaha illallah is such a heavy statement. And this person said La ilaha illallah. Osama bin Zayd couldn't have known why he said it. It was apparent to us, it might be apparent to me and you, oh, he said it because of the sword. But still, in that case, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he forbade judging. In that obvious case, he forbade judging. So what is the case when me and you judge our Muslim brothers today? Our own family members, we judge them, or they haven't done this, or are they even praying, or are they even doing this, or have they given to charity, or are they fasting? What is our situation if we judge our Muslim brothers like that? And they say the kalima La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasul. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah is such a heavy statement. However, another important concept that we have to understand is judging. You might ask yourself, hang on, if judging is wrong and I can't judge, then how about how am I meant to command the good and forbid the evil if I can't judge? So clearly I can't implement this order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Well, yes you can, because one thing we can judge is actions. I can't say that person, their actions are not accepted because of their intentions. However, if I see someone lying, or see someone stealing, or see someone ma'adallah murdering. Like these are sins which are very big. If I see someone doing this, can I say, no, I don't know their intention, so therefore I'm not going to interfere? No, that doesn't make any sense. If I see someone doing obvious wrong, like these wrongs, if I see someone doing it, then it's my responsibility as a Muslim to forbid the evil. Say, why are you lying? Why are you stealing? And trying to do my best to protect the person who's getting killed. It's my responsibility as a Muslim to forbid the evil. I can't, but then the situation is different. If I see someone praying, doing a salah, or I see someone giving in charity, or I see someone helping, like these are good things, which are good known things that we're meant to do. I can't say that their actions are evil, like not the actions are evil, their intentions are evil. I can't say that because I don't know what's in their heart. But these ones I can say their actions are evil because their actions are evil. But I can't use that as an excuse and say, oh no, I can't judge their intentions based on the actions. Whereas these people who are praying, I can't say no, they're praying for someone else. I don't know that. To me, they're praying, and that's all I have to worry about. Like commanding the good and forbidding the evil. However, when Judgment Day comes, the iman that we gave each other the benefit of the doubt will mean absolutely nothing. So all this iman that we gave each other the benefit of the doubt, all this iman that we said, oh no, we gave each other we protected each other by sticking up for each other. All this iman that we gave each other the benefit of the doubt will mean absolutely nothing on the day of judgment. So that iman that you said and on that day, one thing will matter. One thing will matter is the iman that you and I have in our hearts. That's the only thing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not look at your wealth, your status, your money in this life, your children in this life, the amount of business you have. No. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala looks at what's in your heart and your deeds. And we're told in Surah Al-Shu'ara that only the people who will be successful are the people who come to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with qalbun salim, a pure sound heart. And this is the iman that lies inside the heart. And so, in essence, basically, the one thing that we cannot judge in this life is the only thing that will matter on the day of judgment. So, going back to this ayah, because I want to get back to this ayah now, because it's the main topic of this talk, is that this ayah is about iman, but however, is an ayah of iman that you and I carry inside our hearts. And this ayah is basically about people who feared Allah, who had taqwa, who feared Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So there are people who had taqwa, they had hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they did good. These are these people who are described in this ayah, because these are people who sought to improve themselves, because they constantly understood that the day of judgment, all that will matter on that day is what I carry inside the heart. So what I have to take and present to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has to be clean, has to be pure. So they constantly made jihad against themselves and their nafs to purify themselves. So please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they were people who protected themselves. They protect themselves from foul language, from wasting time, from being disrespectful to parents, from being disrespectful to elders, from being lazy in acts of worship. They protected that's why they're people of taqwa. Taqwa means to protect yourself from getting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala angry, because these people wanted Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy, and that's why they actually qualify for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala even says, أُولَٰئِكَ يَرْجُونَ رَحْمَةَ اللَّهِ. These people will get the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They expect the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why? Because they're people who they worked. And that's what this life is about. This life that you and I live in is about work. We don't have time to rest. We do not have any time to rest whatsoever. The world that we live in is about work. And the reason is that because the more you work and the more serious you care about your religion, the more you understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is merciful. You understand that everyone has so much potential. You understand that I am going to leave this world. The oldest you can live is like 70. If you're lucky on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses you with more life, if you're lucky Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses you with more life, then maybe up to less than 100, yeah? And even if you get more than 70 years, after 70, you're going to be old, you're going to be weak, so you can't really do much dawah. But you understand that that's the maximum you have. So you understand that I have 70 years. I have 70 years to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that is not even a long time because you're not even guaranteed tomorrow. So if I have to live every single day saying, I might not be here tomorrow. So you have to look at your life and say, what can I do today to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What can I do today to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So you even like making yourself a list daily, saying I can do even if little things, because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam even told us not to neglect the little things, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves what's constant. If you do something, for example, if you pray the night prayer in Islam is such a beautiful thing. The night prayer. So if you wake up every single night, you wake up, for example, you say, you start off small. You say, what am I going to do? I'm going to wake up 10 minutes before Salatul Fajr, and I'm going to make wudu, make 2 rakats, and make dua, because we know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he comes down to the lowest heavens in a manner that befits him, and he asks who wants forgiveness, who is making dua, so I may answer them. So this person, they do that for a long portion of their lives. They don't do like whole nights. No, they do just do 10 minutes. However, this is one person. This is person number 1. On the other side, you have person number 2. They decide one day, I'm going to pray the whole night. I'm not even going to sleep. I'm not even going to lie down one bit. I'm going to pray the whole night from Isha to Fajr. I'm going to pray. Because you hear narrations and stories about how Abu Bakr, Umar, all these great companions of Jalal, how they Ali, Uthman, how these companions prayed so much. You're like, that's it. You do that for one night, but then you get worn out and you don't do it ever again. Who is better, the one who did this constantly or the one who just did it once? For surely Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He loves the deeds which are constant. If you do this constant, then it's a lot better for you. And in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it may be that this reason is why you get into Jannah. Because you were consistent in this one act of worship, it may be salvation on that day. But another important point is that the Iman, these people, I'm still describing these people who expect the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because all of us, we expect the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even the people who don't practice Islam much, they might say, well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Ghafur Rahim, so therefore He's going to have mercy on me. No. These people actually worked. And I can't emphasize that enough, that they actually did work. So basically, I'll give an example. If you have a plant, you bought a plant from the plant shop, and you have this little plant. It was small when you got it. If you have this little plant, are you going to leave it like that? If you want an actual plant to come out of it, are you going to leave it in the state it is, with no water, no sunlight, no attention, no care? No, because then it will die. Even though it's got life right now, then it's going to die. Likewise, our Iman in our hearts is something that we should take care of. We cannot leave it, because if you leave it, that's why Iman gets rusty. It gets rusty on the sides, because if you leave it, then you give Shaitan an entry to get inside your heart, and it becomes weak. So likewise with this plant, it grows, it nurtures, it becomes something great, because you actually gave it water, you gave it attention, you gave it time, you gave it effort, you gave this plant so much, and it becomes a beautiful plant. A beautiful plant that gives off fruit. It does all these things. Why? Because you constantly cared about this plant. Likewise, you have so much potential in your heart. You have so much potential to be a good person. But it's your responsibility to constantly care about your Iman, the Iman that you carry inside your heart. Because these people, they cared about the Iman. They understood that if I go to that company, if I go to that place, that's not going to be good for me. If I look at those things. If I look at those things, that's not going to be good for me either. If I say those things, that's not going to be good for me either. They actually were able to control themselves. And that's why in Surah Al-Nazi'ah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala even talks about the people who are able to control themselves. And Jannah becomes their resting place. It becomes their home. So that's why it's so important to take care of your Iman. So now, back to this ayah. This ayah, basically, it talks about how we should take care of Iman. It answers 2 questions. How we should take care of Iman, and why should we take care of Iman. And basically the first question of why is answered in the ayah itself. And this ayah is from Surah Al-Baqarah, by the way. Ayah 218. So why should I take care of my Iman? The reason is, these these people, they expect the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy, you should take care of your iman. The next question is the one which takes more explanation. How do I take it? Because now you know why, and you're ecstatic, you're happy because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you mercy, and you want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy. Then how can you do it? How can you implement this ayah? Well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions 3 things. He goes, Inna alladhina amanu, then وهاجروا, and then وجاهدوا في سبيل الله. So 3 things: amanu, hajaru, and then wajahadu fi sabilillah. So these are 3 things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions. So inshallah we'll go through them one by one. So the first one was inna alladhina amanu. That's quite simple because they believed. These people believed in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they believed in the message, they believed in the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. These are people of iman, they believed. So that was the first step. The second step takes some time to explain. So it's hajaru. And this basically means to abandon. When you abandon something, or you leave something. Even though these 2 words are similar, but it's basically when you abandon something, you leave something. So when you abandon something, you're doing 2 things. In essence, you're doing 2 things. You're leaving something behind. So you're leaving something behind, abandoning something, and then if you're abandoning something, you're going to somewhere else. So you're doing 2 things in essence. I'll repeat it. You're doing 2 things. You're leaving, but then you're also going. So you're leaving to one thing and you're going to another thing. And these both things are things that require a struggle and a challenge. And the reason for this is basically you're leaving something behind that which you love. So a simple example to explain this: you're leaving home. You're leaving home to a city you've never been to. You enjoy your house. You enjoy your family, your friends. You enjoy the company of these people that are around you. But you're leaving. It's hard to make that journey. This journey that you have to make is hard, yes. Leaving is hard. This is the first step of hardship. Yeah, leaving the people. But the second step of hardship is basically going. Because you're going to a place that you've no idea. You've heard about it. You're going to a place, but you're not sure. You haven't been. Is it going to be the same? Am I going to like it? What's it going to be like? There's tears of sadness. But there's also, you're also anxious. Like, you're like, or you can be even excited because you don't know what to expect. But then things, because you don't know what to expect, there's also fear as well, and it might be hard for you to adjust. So the adjustment might be really, really difficult for you. And that's what it means for hajaru. They actually leave something behind, but they're also going to something new. And these are two different struggles. So you might ask yourself, what are these people leaving? What are these people leaving behind? And the thing is, I'll give you an example of your life. Before Iman, because it may be the case that not all of us are practicing, practicing at one point. We were not that serious in our religion. But it may be the case before Iman, there were things that you're comfortable with. There were things that you can stand. So, for example, your friends, which is a big example for all of us. So, your friends, they were your friends. You hung around with them. You hung around them in school, after school, weekends. You hung around with them. But after Iman, after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed you with the blessing of Islam, and you decided to take Islam seriously, you understood that your friends, what they're doing is not actually, you started to slowly drift away from them. And the reason is because that your character and what you had in your heart did not click with what they had in their heart. It did not go together on the same page anymore. You were not on the same page. Before you were friends, you would think alike, you would be alike, you would hang around. But now you understand that what they're doing is wrong. The things that come out of their mouth is wrong. What they look at and what they do is wrong. What they say to each other is wrong. So you slowly started abandoning them. You slowly started to drift away from them. This slow drift. It wasn't quick because it takes time, right? It's not like yesterday. I started to practice my religion, and today that's it. I'm sheikh. No, it takes time. It's slow. It's like, it's a slow process, and that's how you slowly get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You slowly start to taste the iman, and you want more. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses you more iman, and it's the sweetness that you taste, and you want more of it because you understand the sweetness of iman in this heart, in this flesh. You understand that there's something in there, and it's like nothing I've ever experienced before, and you understand that I constantly want to be in that state. So you understand in essence you've basically left a comfort zone. You've left a comfort zone because you're comfortable with your friends, yeah. You're comfortable with them. And the friends is the example in many things. It might even be like the places you used to go, the people you used to be around, and other times the things you used to do in your free time. You're comfortable with these things, but after Iman, you understand that no, that this doesn't click with me anymore. It doesn't go with the Sharia. It doesn't. My heart doesn't feel at ease. So sometimes you can understand that because when you don't feel right when you're doing these things. And that's the blessing of Islam, because some things don't have to be taught, some things don't have to be said which are wrong. So if naturally, like if you're in a company of people who are swearing, people who are listening to music, naturally your heart would not like it. It's not gonna like it. It's gonna feel no, it's not right. And that's the blessing of Iman and Islam. So you're gonna want to slowly leave and drift away. But it's so important because basically you want to embark on this beautiful journey of Islam. You're ready because now you've tasted this Iman. You understand that no, I'm only going to go up from here. From now on, I'm only going to go up. Like I'm slowly going to make more by the will of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. And to understand it in the context of at the time of the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, as for the Muhajirun. Was it easy for them from going from Mecca, which was their home, to Medina, which is where they migrated? Was it an easy route? Because they didn't have airplanes. The comfort that we have today, they didn't have it. They had to travel when in the sun, so the sun was coming. They had to travel in the heat. There was barely any vegetation. Like it was hot, and they were going on camels. On camels, so it was hot, and the camels they're not like the cars. They were quite slow, or they were walking because someone didn't have camels. So it wasn't an easy journey. So imagine you're going through this journey and you'll be leaving Mecca behind. Mecca was your house. Mecca was your home. You had your family there, your friends there, and you're leaving your home to go to Medina. Because you want to be among the Muhajirun, the people who go and migrate to Medina. And likewise, even though theirs is not the same as ours, in essence, in the reason is the same, because you're leaving someone or you're leaving something for the sake of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, and you're going to somewhere better. You're going to for the sake of the Iman that you have in your heart, just to protect yourself. And this is the concept of taqwa coming again. So it wasn't easy migration. And one thing that comes to mind now is that basically when we see people going through these journeys, like, because not everyone is at the same stage of Iman, not everyone is going to be the same as you. So if you see someone struggling, for example, I'll give you an example in that time. If you see someone struggling going from Mecca to Medina and they're not going so well, they feel pain in their legs, would that person feel nice if someone just laughed at them and then went on? If someone laughed at this person while they were here and just left them there? No, it's not nice. And that person will feel like giving up. Likewise, if I see a Muslim struggling today, is it nice for me to leave that Muslim behind? Is it nice for me to leave that Muslim behind? I just say, oh, look at you, but you're struggling in your faith. No, as a Muslims, we have to become a support system for one another. We have to understand that no, that person is delicate, like that plant is delicate. And if I don't advise them and remind them of the mercy of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala and remind them and give them good news, then that person is not going to go on. Because the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam even came as a good giver of good news. He was also a warner, but the good news came first. The good news came first, and he gave good news to people. He gave glad tidings of Jannah to people. He gave glad tidings of Jannah, meeting Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. These are good news, and that's why we have to constantly give each other good news as well. Say like, it's all right. I know you're struggling. Do you want to hang around with me? Do you want to do this with me? Oh, I know, good halaqah. Like, constantly advise one another so that we can all increase. Now you may ask yourself, what comes next? After I've abandoned, what comes next? But what we have to understand is that this process of migration, it requires a struggle. This migration to Allah requires an actual struggle. It's not going to be easy. You can't say, oh, now that I've changed my behavior, now that I've changed my actions, now that I've changed this and that, or everything is going to be easy. No, that's a reason for shaitan to be to do waswasa to you, like to do waswasa to you even more, to call you to haram even more, to tell you to do this even more, is a reason because you've begun to take in the religion seriously, and you know that you understand how serious the religion is a reason for shaitan to get at you more. So now you have to understand that now that I've made this decision to change, now I have to struggle. I have to make an effort. You have to understand that, and it's not going to be easy. That's one thing you have to understand. It's not going to be easy. You are going to be tested with trials. Even in Surah Al-Ankabut, didn't Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say that He will test the believers? Did the believers think that they be left alone after they believe? No, they will be tested. And so the things you have to understand, the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like how merciful Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. And this can be described in an ayah of Surah An-Nur, whereby Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that Allah may reward them according to the best of their deeds. So you have to understand, what does it mean to the best of their deeds? A simple example I can give you is you're doing a math test. You've got a maths exam coming up and your teacher gives you exam every fortnight. So he gives you exams. So you have your exam papers, you got it back, and you look at them as a whole. And your teacher, what he does is that he takes overall grade. So he adds it up, and he just does an overall grade from your tests. So for one of them, you did really well. You got an A. So you got, for example, you got 90%. And then for the other one, you also got an A. But for this one, it was a total fail, and you got a U. And for this one, you got an E. So you did really well in the first two. These went really well, but these two didn't go so well at all. So your overall grade is not going to be an A. Why? Because you got U and you got an E. So those U and that E, those low grades are going to pull these two A's down, and your overall grade might even be a C. But that's not how it works with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Say, for example, you prayed a prayer really well. And things we have to understand that not all our actions are going to be the best standard. They're not all going to be really, really well. But if, say, for example, you prayed one of your salah really, really well, and you felt that it went really well. You felt that today I actually felt what salah was. But then there's some salahs you're just disappointed. You just like, what went wrong? But the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will not take an average of all your salats and say, oh no, this one was low and this one is high, so therefore your average is not going to be that high because you had many low ones. And realistically, you have more low than high. But the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that He will actually reward you according to the best of what you've done. So if your average is an A, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make that your average for salah. And if your average is an A a star in something else, that will be your average. That will be your average. So these low ones won't even matter because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make your average the highest one. And that's basically the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have to understand that even though it's going to be hard, you have to understand that you should never give up. You should never give up. You should always strive and understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He tests you, He only wants good for you. And then that can be understood, like, to understand who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, the best way for this is to study the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the names. Because when you hear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Alim, Hakim, He's Rahman, Rahim, when you hear these names, sometimes we're like, oh, okay. But if you're actually studying them and you look how are these names implemented into my life, how can I get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by these names? It can make a great change to your daily life. But one thing you have to understand about this concept is that when someone is migrating, are they on the move? Yes. So as for you have to always be moving up. You cannot say, like the excuse nowadays is when people do a haram, they use this excuse, well, at least I have iman. At least I have faith. At least I believe. But if you really believed, you would not be stationary. You would not be stationary. As a believer, you have to constantly be moving up. Like here today, you're here. Like every day, you should see some change. Even if the change is the minutest change, like it's the smallest change in the world, it's a change, and you're still going up. So this concept of iman is that you have to be constantly. There's something that needs to be changing every day. Like today I'm going to do this differently today, and you learn from your mistakes. You sin one time and you learn where your mistakes come from, then you're like, no, you make intention not to do that again. And then that way you're constantly moving up. And here's the concept of iman: you're constantly getting closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because we hear nowadays the excuse of the youth today is that, oh no, at least I have faith, at least I believe, at least I have iman in my heart, it's in my heart. Well, no, you actually don't. If you're not changing and you're not making an effort to change, you can't claim there's something in your heart. You can't. You have to constantly be changing yourself. But then that's not for me to say that to someone else. I have to, when I look at this concept, I can't say, oh, so and so is not improving, so therefore they don't have iman. In this concept, I have to look at myself first and foremost. I have to every day ask myself, what have I changed about myself? Every day before I go to sleep, I say, what have I done to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala today? And every day when I wake up, I say, what can I do to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala today? It's not for me to say, oh no, you should do this and you should do that. No, this ayah is really personal because it's about you and how you're changing constantly and how you're moving up constantly, not about others. And now, subhanAllah, you might ask yourself, how can I cope? Now that I've made this choice to change myself and this choice to be constantly moving and changing myself, how will I be able to cope when I see all these haram around me? How will I be able to cope when all my friends are calling me back? These things that I used to do, they're all around me. How do I change myself? How do I cope in the society that we live in? Well, the best thing is basically to hold on to the Quran, the Sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is to hold on to the Quran, to be constantly be engaged in studying it, reading it, understanding it, contemplating on it. If you hold on to this, you'll see changes in your life. And holding on to the Sunnah. Holding on to the Sunnah. You study the seerah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You understand how he struggled, how his companions struggled, and you can actually relate to them if you understand what they went through. How can I know Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam if I don't know anything about his life? How can I say I love Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam when I know nothing about him? By studying his sunnah, by implementing on his sunnah also, so you do the things that he sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to do. But by also studying his sunnah, his seerah, you understand that so many things you can actually relate to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that he is the messenger sent to all alameen. He sent to everyone, for everyone in every nation. And how can you relate to him when you know nothing about him? So you have to constantly be being engaged in studying seerah. And also, as for the Quran, you have to constantly be engaged in reciting it, in learning it, memorizing it. And if you hold on to these three things, these are the main primary things. If you hold on to this, then you'll see change in your life. And and then you obviously make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also. But then you will see that all these things that you used to think, oh, they're calling me, these temptations around you, you will say, no, these are nothing compared to the Quran and what the Quran and the Sunnah offers. Because I feel something when I read the Quran, and I feel something when I study the Seerah of the Sunnah of Muhammad or the Sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I feel something different, and I'm not willing to let go of it because it's so special. So you see that, and then you will slowly start to see how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed you and has given you something that most people, you look around you in the corrupt society, you look around you what people are engaged in, and you see what they're engaged in it's nothing compared to what you have. And you understand that you actually see that I can do this by working for my dunya and my akhirah. And you see that, because sometimes this concept of death, it scares many people. This concept of death, it scares many people because people are so holding on to what they have in this world and they don't want to let it go. But as for a Muslim, as for a believer, as for a mu'min, they understand that this life is temporary. So you do what you do, you need to get by, but your akhirah is always number one, because you understand that you're going to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala very soon. Because we're not promised tomorrow as Muslims, or as any, death is inevitable. And even death is a certainty. Even if you ask the atheist, the Hindu, the Sikh person, no one denies death. No one denies death, but people avoid it. But as Muslims, we don't avoid it. We work for it because we work for that meeting we have with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there's another hadith where Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that there will come a time when holding on to your iman, your belief, will be like holding on to hot coal. We'll be holding on to hot coal. And that might even be the case today, because even for the youth today, for you to dress in a certain way, for you to dress Islamically, you're seen as the outcast. You're seen as the person who's not fitting in. For you to do certain things, for you to actually perform your 5 salahs, for you to protect yourself from the haram, you're seen as a stranger. You're seen as weird. You're seen as an outcast, and everything else is normal. That's the society we've come to live in today. With the internet and with all these things around us, you're seen as the weird one. But then when you read the hadith, you actually understand that I have to hold on to my iman. And you know what? The harder it is for you, surely there's more reward. The more difficulty you go through just to say your faith, then you understand that you're getting closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you should never give up. You should never say, no, this is too hard. You have to understand that even though it's hard, that this life is a test. What's the point? If this is all ease? You will be tested, because iman is something you will be tested with. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will see who is actually holding on to their faith, or who is willing to let go and turn back. And that's why it's so important for you to hold on to your iman, hold on to your faith, and make that your priority. Okay, now concluding. Now you went from Inna alladhina amanu walladhina hajaru wa jahadu fi sabilillah. So now you've gone through these stages. What you have to do is next is basically ask yourself, what can I do? What can I do as a Muslim? Like, what can I personally do? What can I do? So what can I do fi sabilillah? What can I do to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So you have to understand, you might so there's a personal level, what can I do personally to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And this can basically be by your obviously starting small, by engaging in your sunnah prayers, by maybe fasting Monday and Thursday, by maybe obviously by being good to your parents, improving your relationship with your family, by obviously staying away from wasting time, by engaging in good courses. But then there's also what you can do at a larger level, like at a community level, at a societal level. So what can I do? I can get people together, I can organize things, I can hold a charity event. There's so many potential that everyone has, and you have to understand, what can I do? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with all of us have potential, even though our potential are different. One person is good at writing, one person is good at speaking, one person is good at doing this. You have to understand, where do I fit in this big plan? Where can I do ihsan? Where can I do excellence? Where can I go higher? And by looking at these two things, if you get but the thing is, you have to have a balance between. You can't be constantly engaged in charity work and a community work and helping the community and teaching the kids, while you let yourself go, while you let your personal self go, while you let this go. If you let that go, then there's no balance at all, and you're not going to see a change, because you have to also preserve the iman inside you. You have to also, but by the personal level, you strengthen your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by the prayers that you do, by the extra fast that you do, by following the Sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in like the way you do ghusl, the way you go to sleep, the adhkar that you read. There's so many the du'as that we read. These are personal things. But they also help you get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So also, because our religion is a religion of balance. That's one thing. It's such an important concept. Our religion is a religion of balance. So you have to have a balance between these two, and understand that where does the line, where is the line? Because if I cross that line, then the other one is going to be in danger. So I have to give time for this and time for that. And by this we finish, inshallah. So I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make this beneficial for me and you, and I ask Him subhanahu wa ta'ala that we act upon everything that we've learned, and I ask Him to forgive me for any mistakes I've made, for surely they come from me, and anything good that I've said is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Next, I wanted to say just for my Twitter accounts, follow me on Deen Over Dunya 3, and my name's An-Noor. And for my website, where I post blogs, www.annoorblog.wordpress.com, where all my updates are come, and subscribe to my channel. Jazakallah khair.